All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. We're going to completely switch gears. I'm just going to get straight to the point this time. Look at this. We are going to talk about Dustin Poirier crushing Conor McGregor and then John Kavanaugh making comments about said fight that sounded so totally crazy that Michael Bisping suggested that Conor fire John Kavanaugh publicly. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the comments that John Kavanaugh made about the fight. We're going to be able to just dissect. They are completely crazy. But Michael Bisping listening to what he said and then saying, Conor, you should fire this guy. I'm going to go ahead and just inject myself into that conversation and show Michael Bisping that he is completely missing a massive piece of this evaluation that he just made and failed to make accurately, okay? Now, if you just took it at face value, he would be right. But face value is not what's going on here. Not at all. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you those things and we'll, dissect it. Also, we're going to talk about Conor because Conor just got out of the hospital and he looks like he is in excellent spirits, which again demonstrates he is the best fight promoter ever. He just is, dude. He just is. He says crazy things. He plays the bad guy. He actually specifically said after the fight, you need people like me, right? Remember he tweeted that with a picture of him getting rolled off on the gurney. He said, you need people like me. Now I know most of you guys are 17 years old, but raise your hand if you know that reference. You need people like me. Ready? Come on. Come on. Come on.
Let's say that's the bad guy.
It's from Scarface, okay? Say hello to the bad guy. Say hello to the bad guy. He's specifically saying he's playing the bad guy. He played the bad guy. He did it on purpose, of course, okay? Now, I'm still not convinced now that Dustin Poirier and him are not in on it together. I have this bubbling up suspicion that Conor and Dustin's wife and all these guys are in on this thing. I really do. I could completely be wrong. I always see conspiracy, even where there might not be one, but I don't know. Anyway, but let's jump down this rabbit hole real quick and let's look at what John Kavanaugh said about the fight after the fight because it's totally crazy. Ready? Boom.
After the event, Conor McGregor's longtime coach, John Kavanaugh, claimed that he was not at all concerned for his fighter. This was despite a lengthy period of domination from Dustin Poirier on the ground, which earned the American a 10-8 round in the eyes of two judges. Here's the clip.
So all in all, up until that point, let's say that's almost 4.5 minutes, I wasn't concerned at all. I was actually really happy, and I knew what I was going to be saying. I've always decided what I'm going to say in between rounds at about the 4.5 minute mark. So I already knew when we went back to the stool, I was going to just encourage him to keep on doing what he was doing with the kicks. I felt Dustin was going to try to close a little bit heavier this time, so we would be looking to, rather than exchange a punch, just slide back, the kind of classic slide back left hand he did on Aldo, and to look for those type of techniques. So look, at the 4.5 minute mark, even 4:45 mark, everything's gravy. I thought energy looked good, technique looked good. Few adjustments in between rounds, and I thought round two we were well on track to getting possibly finish it there, or at least keep going, keep the rhythm going for the rest of the fight.
Although many have said for years that McGregor needs a camp change, the Irishman has been loyal to Kavanaugh and his team. Speaking on BT Sports UFC 264 review show with Adam Catterall and Nick Pete, the former UFC middleweight champion criticized John Kavanaugh for assessment of Conor McGregor at UFC 264 and explained why the Irishman should immediately fire his coach. Here's the clip.
Now, when it got up, yeah, of course, it was a very unfortunate ending. Probably fortunate for Conor, though, let's be honest. Of course, he's in the hospital now, and he had to get operated on. That's not good. But in terms of Conor McGregor, in terms of the machine and the fan base that he has, and a narrative to twist the situation, just like his coach John Kavanaugh has this morning, he said, I saw nothing that concerned me. I knew that in the second round we would get the knockout. Nothing I was seeing there concerned me at all. Well, if that's true, John Kavanaugh, Conor should fire you immediately, because that was very concerning. You were on your back and you were getting dominated, and it was a 10-8 round. That's concerning. You don't want to get your ass kicked. Simple as that. And that's what was happening. Now, the leg break was unfortunate, but as I say, it gives McGregor an excuse or a reason why the fight ended. But if that didn't happen, I mean, come on. The odds of him turning that round and finishing Dustin in the second round, when round one is supposed to be Conor's best round. You know, it wasn't good. It wasn't a good performance. They will do a fourth fight. I think in the meantime, Dustin will go on, more than likely beat Charles Oliveira. He'll become the champion. And then we're going to see the fourth fight against Dustin for the belt.
Okay, so obviously, if we took at face value what John Kavanagh said, that is objectively ludicrous, right? Like, Conor was doing really well in that fight. Conor was killing it, dude. It's like, it was a 10-8 round, dude. Like, 2 of the 3 judges called it 10-8. That is not a good round. He was not in a good place. He was not going to knock Dustin out in the second round, most likely. Look, Conor is an incredible fighter. He is very special. What I think everyone is just failing to even factor in here, that, you know what, actually, let me make the point first. So Bisping said that Conor should fire Kavanaugh if those are his real comments, okay? Like, I understand that. Like, they're basically saying, like, Conor needs to get with people. He needs a better coach. He needs a better team. You know, if his coaches are just a bunch of yes men, then blah, 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 blah. Okay, sure. So here's the thing. Do you think that John Kavanagh speaking to the public in an interview, he's just thinking about, like, he's like, let me tell you what I really thought, you know? Let me just tell you guys exactly what I really thought. Or do you think he's like, let me say what I know Conor is going to see me say and go from there, right? Think about that, Michael Bisping. What if John Kavanagh went on and he was like, look, man, we were in a really rough spot. Conor was getting smashed in the first round. He broke his leg, but in all honesty, he's probably lucky because he was getting crushed. He had basically no chance of coming back in this fight. And let's just be honest, Dustin's probably a better fighter. I mean, right, guys? I mean, everybody knows it. Right? I mean, I'm not saying anything everybody doesn't already know, right? I mean, obviously, Conor has no chance of beating Dustin. Like, he's honestly lucky that he got his leg broken because otherwise Dustin was going to pulverize him, break his arm, and then break his face. I mean, come on, let's be real here. 10-8, I mean, there's probably another 2 more 10-8 rounds before Conor just quit because Dustin was fucking him up so bad. I mean, Jesus. Let's just be real. Like, I'm not that good of a coach, you know? Conor's really not that good of a fighter. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know what else to say. I mean, give me a break. Of course he's going to say that, dude. He knows that Conor's going to watch. Conor's leg is broken. Conor is vying for a fourth fight with him, right? And so, like, he can't just come out and say, yeah, you know, Conor was in a really tough spot. He can't say that. He knows Conor's going to watch. Keep this in mind, too. He makes 10% of every single thing that Conor makes, all of his fights. Conor makes $30 million. Kavanagh makes $3 million, okay? Like, so he is a wealthy guy now. He has had a lot of big fights with Conor. Conor is his cash cow. And I'm not saying that to diminish anything that John Kavanagh's done or anything that he says. I'm just saying it's like, you know, human beings operate off of incentives. Are you going to risk? I mean, and even beyond just the money, being Conor McGregor's coach is probably the thing that he takes the most pride in the entire world, in the history, in his entire life, right? Like, when you get to be like his age, around my age, like, you know, you start looking back and you look at the things that you've done, and like, if you have nothing that you take pride in, if you haven't accomplished anything special, then you don't, you know, that's where midlife crisis comes from, okay? Guys that look back and they're like, I haven't done shit. You know, I haven't done a fucking thing. I haven't rolled the dice on anything. I've never stuck with anything that I tried to do. I just took a job. Hey, look at me. I make $200,000 a year. I thought that was a good, big deal right up until I got to be middle-aged and I was like, okay, well, that's nothing. Everybody does that. I just took a job. I never took any risks. And now I have 3 kids. I can't do anything. I'm stuck in my life. I'm never going to accomplish anything great, right? Well, John Kavanagh is the opposite of that. He's like, I coached one of the greatest MMA fighters in the history of the world, the most successful, you know, MMA combat sports athlete ever. I coached him. I brought him to that point. Every single one of his MMA fights was under me. You have any idea how much pride he probably takes in that? It means his life matters, okay? It means his life matters. So you think he's going to risk that just to be super honest in a fucking interview with this, whoever that was? She's all, so how do you think Conor was doing? He's all, well, I'm just going to throw my number 1 life's accomplishment in the fucking toilet so I can be super honest with you. Give me a fucking break, dude. Okay? Grow up, you guys. And Michael Bisping, think about it. Come on. I was talking grow up to other people. To you, I'm just saying, think about it. Come on. You know? Anyway, so that's that. That's why he said it, and he obviously gets a pass for that. Now, Conor is out of the hospital, and he looks like he is in very high spirits. And I'm just going to retract what I said. You know, in my video where I said things just got a lot worse for Conor, not really. Not really. He looks like he's in high speed. I mean, like the guy, say whatever you want about this guy, but his mental state is unbelievable. He's literally like, he's looking at this like, wow, can you imagine what the story is going to be when I recover and I come back from this? He's like, I'm going to have a titanium leg. It's going to be unbreakable. And he really is, like, he's not faking it. He's in a good mood. Now, he might be on painkillers or something. I have no idea. But he looks to be in very, very good, good shape mentally. And the thing about, I mean, the reason why certain people make it to the level that they do is about mindset, okay? It's just about mindset. Like, the way that you approach whatever your journey is going to dictate success or failure. Now, there are certain people that lack talent, okay? No matter, and I'm just talking about it broadly. There are a million things that you could set out to do, and you're like, I am going to work 100 hours a week, every single week, and I'm never gonna stop until I succeed. And you're like, well, what's your goal? And they're all, I wanna play in the NBA. You're all, dude, you're 48 years old and you're 5'1", okay? You are never playing in the fucking NBA. That's not happening. Set a more realistic goal, okay? But if you have a realistic goal and you have the talent to match it, and then you set your mind to perseverance, hard work, absolute dedication, and I don't care how long this takes, we're gonna get there, you can get there. Like, as a matter of fact, you will get there. If you have the talent to get there and you put in the work, you will get there. I mean, depending on what the outcome. I mean, if you're like, I wanna be the double world champion, I mean, maybe you will. Conor was. In my own spot, like when I started doing this, I was like, YouTube is basically impossible to build on, but I'm just gonna do it anyway. And I'm just gonna put out content. I know the talent's there. I know my content's good enough. So I'm gonna keep perseverance. If it takes me 10 fucking years to get to a place where I can support my family on YouTube and ad revenue, then I'll do it, okay? Now, I'm already paying my fucking mortgage for this big ass house through YouTube, and it only took me 14 months. But you know how many videos I did in the last 15 months? You know how many videos I did in the last 15 minutes between the two channels? 500, okay? 500. 502, actually. 502 videos in 15 months, okay? That's why I got to where I did. And that's why in another year, I'll be doing much more. And at a certain point, it'll be our only source of income and we'll be balling, son. Because I crank out content and I committed myself to the process. And so I respect that in people more than anything. Okay, it is like, set a big goal and then do the fucking work. And the only way that you can do that is if you have an incredibly positive outlook, and that is Conor. Conor's much more than me. I mean, well, actually, depends. Lower threshold for success for me, certainly. But the guy is impressive, man. I like listening to him talk. I like listening to how he thinks. That's why I'm a fan of his, And here's the thing. I can be a fan of Conor and Khabib. And I can be a fan of Doug. I love all these guys because all of them have the same thing. You can't get to this level in this game without having that level of belief in yourself, perseverance, hard work. You can't do it. Can't be done, dude. Cannot be done. You have to have the mixture of talent, hard work, and belief. You have to have all of them, And Conor, I believe, more than anyone, Conor's belief is as high as anyone's. Khabib, I think, just knew he was never going to lose. But Khabib and Gaethje are in this kind of like, and Dustin actually, they're in the hard work. Like the way that I think Conor puts a lot more emphasis on the belief and the mental state. And I think those guys get to the same place of the belief through absolute sheer hard work, where they work so hard that they think to themselves, it's literally impossible for someone to work harder than me. It's not possible. And that's where they gain their confidence from, is knowing it's not physically possible to work harder than I did. And if you work harder than the other guy, then you're going to win. And that's how they look at it, So, yeah, anyway. But, I don't know. That's what I got. So subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell. Peace.